But if that Tasmanian tiger, if there is a good confirmed sighting of that thing in Western Papua New Guinea, I'll drop everything now and I'll spend the next 6 months there trying to hunt that thing down to find it.
Talk about the thylacine?
Thylacine, Tasmanian tiger. Yep.
Is there any evidence that thing's still around? Or is it any of them left?
I think there's a very small circle of people that know a bit of information about it. There may potentially be a location out there in Western Papua New Guinea.
Really?
There may be. Definitely not in Tasmania or on the Australian mainland.
You really think you could catch this thing?
Oh, look, I wouldn't want to catch it. That would be the last thing on my list.
Okay.
I don't want to.
You don't want to even touch it.
No, I would love to take a picture of it.
Okay.
I would love to film it doing its thing. You know, that would. I think, and maybe even to be honest, and I'll be completely honest here.
You might as well just catch it.
No. I think it's too precious. I think this is to the deeper core of me. I think as my connection with nature. You know what? I don't even think I'd want to take a picture of it or film it. Because what am I doing there?
Yeah.
What am I doing?
Right.
I'm doing the very thing that I just said at the original start of the podcast that I'm against. It's that whole exploitation of, it's trying to make a name for myself. You know what I mean? Like, I think if nature...
Yeah, but I don't think you're hurting anything by taking a photo of a thylacine. You're not giving up its location.
I think the concern...
it's cool.
But I think the concern would be if I did something like that, the amount of people that would jump on the bandwagon and try and go out there. And that's where my concern would be for that animal. And I think the depths of where I'm at, I think now in my life would be, if I did see something like that, maybe what I'd do is I'd show a couple of very select few people and say, this is the picture, this is the footage, this doesn't go anywhere else. But it's there. But it is there. Who those people would be, I'd show Forrest, definitely.
Right.
And just so he could say, yeah, he's definitely found one. There'd probably be a small handful of people, but I don't think I would release it to the world and say, I think it's personal. It's really personal, I feel. Only because it represents such an internationally hot topic, this animal, that it's been questioned so much. This animal's been extinct and now it's alive and there's sightings and all that kind of stuff. And I think a lot of that's been debunked. But if it was out there in Papua New Guinea, I think it would be unbelievable. It really would.
Do you think if they found it, they would try to bring it back and try to increase its population?
I think the first thing that would happen is this. If it's still there, it's essentially saying one thing that's been undisturbed, and there's probably nothing wrong with the population there, right? That's probably the first thing where my mind would go. The second thing is, if someone did come across it, I'm just trying to think. Look, I don't know what Papua New Guinea is like at the government, but if a place knows that it's got something, if it's got a white unicorn,
right,
I would be concerned that they might fund an internal project to capture some specimens,
breed them,
and
sell
say,
them.
We want an investment to create a zoo or whatever, to bring the world to Papua New Guinea to show them, and they would wrap it into a very conservation, zoological featured thing. And from an economic point of view, it would be a huge... it'd be
do what human beings do. We
get something and we manipulate it.
Yes.
And I think that would be
monetize it.
That would be my gut instinct to what the government would do. That would be my gut
You're probably
instinct.
Right. I think you're right about that.
Yeah, because Papua New Guinea, I think, is quite, it's a developing country, and if they had that unicorn, that golden card, they're definitely going to use it to their advantage.
I think it's probably the smartest idea, no matter what species it is, and whether there's too many of them or too little of them. It's probably. I mean, look, I'm sure there's nuance in here. There's probably, it's probably not just black and white, but by and large, we probably shouldn't try to fuck with it.
100%. Yeah. Well, look, they are going to bring, I think Forrest follows that laboratory group quite well. They are going to try and bring one back, and I think in our lifetime we will see one, but whether or not there are still living specimens today, and I went through that whole thing with him, as why I believe there's not any in Tasmania. you know, this is, imagine like a big form of honey badger here.
Right.
You know, this is, you know, it was a scavenger animal. It was an opportunist. It used to move vast distances. It had a huge home range. It would have popped up in someone's backyard. It would have popped up at a campsite.
Right.
It wasn't necessarily a fearless animal of people, because that's why it was such an easy animal to hunt. I think that if there was a small population in Tasmania, it would have popped up with the amount of game cameras, with the amount of solo people which went in there trying to explore to take that golden picture. I think even the Times magazine back in the day said they were going to give $1 billion. It was like $1 billion for live footage of Tasmanian tiger. I think they had something like that back in the day. Look, I think the last reported sighting was in 86, I think, or 88, by a guy by the name of Nick Mooney, who was a Parks and Wildlife ranger. And Forrest has actually done that interview with him, and he said, look, I don't think there was a tourism plug. I genuinely believe he saw one, or one of the last ones. Yeah, one of the last ones. But, you know, it's a shame what happened. It just goes to show that, you know, when, you know, humans come in and we try to manage things in a way that we think is right for our best interests, this is what happens. We lose a beautiful species like this from the earth.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, I would love to catch one. Fuck it. We're going to go for it. We're going to get him. Johnny, hold on. I'd be hated, but I don't care, because I'd have my Tasmanian tiger.